Hey, welcome to From Scratch Ranch. Jason here, and we just finished building out our arena fence here. This is our horse arena. We got the fence all around it. And if you haven't seen that video, check it out. It turned out really, really well. So now we're on to our next big project, which is lighting this arena up. I need this thing lit up. Yeah, because in the winter, it's just too dark. By the time Makayla gets home from school, when we get home from work, it's just too dark to ride. And then in the summer, it's just way too hot to ride in the summer most days. So Makayla doesn't even end up getting the horse tacked up until sunset when it starts to cool off, and then it's very limited time to ride. So I need to get lights on this thing. And you know, lights can be quite costly, but I'm hoping to save a lot of money by doing it all from scratch myself. All right, our arena is 80 feet wide by 150 feet long. And that means it's not a really big arena. It's just a small practice arena. But with those dimensions, Joe over at LEDlightingsupply.com, the lighting specialist, developed a lighting plan for me that shows that I need 2 light poles on each long side every 50 feet. At 150 feet, that's just divided into thirds. And then on top of each of those light poles, we'll have 2 lights that are facing outward just a little bit, and that should light up this whole arena and eliminate any shadows that might spook the horses. Here behind me, you see all the materials needed for our 3-part video series on installing our arena lights. And in the first video is going to be all about the concrete. So I've got all the concrete there and the concrete forms behind there. So I got 4 of those. Those are 12-inch diameter by 4 feet long. And then down on the ground, I've got all of the rebar. So I need to build all of those rebar cages with all of the rebar materials that we got over here, all the ties and the chairs that are going to set on. And then I've got the bolts. I've got some 20-inch J anchor bolts that are going to be embedded in that concrete so we can mount those poles to. In the next video, it's going to be about the steel, welding all of our steel. I've got some 20-footers here of the 4x4 steel. I got 4 of them for the 4 light poles. And we're going to have to weld the plates, the mounting plates, onto the bottom of those poles so we can mount them to the concrete, and then cap them off on the top with those caps. And finally, I've got some angle iron here that we're going to cut some pieces, weld that to the top of the poles to mount the lights to. Speaking of lights, the third and final video is going to be all about the electrical. I've got all my wiring here, got all my conduit and the boxes and switches and everything I need to do all of the wiring of the lights and then the lights. So I've got 8 of these stadium lights from LEDlightingsupply.com. They're going to look great. So make sure you check out all these videos. It's going to be a really fun project. Let's get measured and mark it. All right, let's get digging. So the auger on the back of my tractor here is only 9 inches in diameter, but the concrete forms I'm going to use are 12 inches in diameter. So I got to make this hole a little bit bigger, all of them. And then we'll get these concrete forms set down inside those holes. All right, before I go any further, I'm going to check out how this anchor plate just sits on top of this concrete pier here that I put on. This is it's a 10 by 10 square, and uh-oh. What? Oh man. So 10 by 10, 14 inches for the hypotenuse. Now this is a geometry issue. Darn it. 12 inch, 10 inch. A 10 inch square does not fit inside a 12 inch circle. Oh no, what am I gonna do? I could trim off these corners, but no, because the anchor bolts are gonna be so close to I got 20-inch J-bolt anchors. They'll be too close to the edge of the concrete pier. Yeah, there's no way that's gonna work. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to dig bigger holes and get bigger concrete forms. I need to go at least 14, but probably like 16 or 18. Plus, I think I want to go bigger anyways, just to get a more solid you know, concrete pier there to hold this thing up. Frustrating. Now what am I gonna do? Man, there's just nothing around here that has the larger tubes. Looks like Menards. Menards has 16-inch. I should do it, but Menards, that's like way up in Joplin or near Branson, up in Missouri. It's a long way away, but I think that's my only choice. Yeah. Oh, man, I got about an hour and a half drive up to the Branson area and then an hour and a half back. So, I mean, that's half a day gonna be gone just going to get these things. But I need to do it because there's nothing else around here that I can find that I can have it quickly, at least. Yep, I guess I'm going on a road trip. Finish out the rest of my day on the road. Alrighty. Oh yeah, here we go. 16-inch, that'll work. Only 3 there though. 24.65 a piece. Oh, there we go, there's more there. So I had to go all the way up to the Menards up in Missouri to pick up these 16-inch concrete forms. And man, it was worth it. This Menards is awesome. We need one of these things down in Arkansas. Check these out. That's definitely a lot bigger.
I could probably fit inside that thing.
Yeah? Let's try it. Oh!
Easy.
Can I push you over? Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? That's gonna be a meaty base for these light poles.
Okay, help me.
Oh yeah, that is a big difference between the 12 and the 16. Wow. Yeah, I thought those 12 inches was gonna be enough, but it doesn't feel like it's enough. It looks too skinny for a light pole like that. Again, this is a lot of heavy steel plus the lights on top, and we get high winds up here, so I want to make sure I got something, yeah, a lot meatier than that. Yeah, so let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. That is going to be much better. That's going to be a lot better. Well, that took a half a day out of my day going all the way up to Missouri to go get these 16-inch tubes, but you know, it's going to be worth it. It's the right thing to do. One down, 3 more to go. All right, just to double check again. Oh yeah, that looks great. Yep, I should have known that from the beginning. Why did I even think that the 12-inch would work and not the 16? I don't know, maybe I was trying to save money on concrete, but I am no engineer. And that's why I made this mistake. So hopefully you won't make the same mistake. 16 inches is the way to go. So I've got this 1/2 inch by 10-foot rebar here, and I got a bunch of it right behind me. And I need to cut this down into lengths that I can then bend into circles or into rings, because the cages that we're going to create for those concrete piers are going to have 4 vertical pieces with 4 rings attached to it. So this is being, 120 inches. So divide by 3, that gives me 40. So 3 pieces of 40 inch. 40 inches as a circumference around a circle. Divide that by 3.14 pi and get you the size of the circle I'll have, and that's 12.75, which which is perfect because I need 13" to 14 or so is what I'm looking at. And the thickness of the rebar being a 1/2 inch, and then both sides, that adds an inch. So 13 is good, 12.75, perfect. That'll work. So I just need to cut 5 of these into 3 pieces, and then I'll have to cut another one, another 40" off another piece to get my 16 rings. All right, we're down here over by my sawmill and my saw log pile, and I think I found the perfect solution to bend my rebar into a circle using one of these logs. This log here is approximately 13 inches in diameter, which is exactly what I need. All right, so I need to install some kind of anchor point into this log here so that I can anchor the rebar into it and have the proper leverage to wrap this around, and it holds it underneath here as I bend it around. So what I'm gonna use to do that is this eye hook here. So I can screw this eye hook into the log itself and use it to anchor that rebar into. So I'll install that in here. Okay, let's see if this works. Whoop, I forgot. I need to get my tractor and put my tractor bucket on here to weight this down so it won't lift up. So I also brought my conduit bender, more for the pipe itself for leverage. I need to find something else. Close this gap just a little bit more. All right, I'm thinking I can use one of these holes here or something for leverage to finish bending this. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, see, and that's what we got. Yeah, 13, roughly 13, 13 to 14. That's perfect. It's not a perfect circle, but that's perfect enough for what I need. And I'll have Makayla weld that together, and we should be good to go. Yeah. Now I just need 15 more of these because I need 4 per pier. Awesome. All right, one left. And as you saw, I ditched the pipe as leverage. It didn't really need it. It was just faster to do it this way. So my last one here, hooking it into that eye hook there and just pulling. Okay, just like that. Whew, now I gotta go finish connecting them. The final touches here. All right, now that I got all of my rings cut and bent into my circles here, I need to cut all of my verticals now. I got 4 verticals per pier, and all of the piers are just slightly a different length that I need because each one is a little bit different depth, you know, depending on when I hit rock and whatnot. So I'm giving myself also 2 inches at the bottom for the plastic chair that I want the rebar to sit on. I want to make sure that the rebar is not down into the ground where moisture can start rusting and decaying that rebar all the way up into the concrete. I want it elevated up in completely encapsulated into that concrete. So 2 inches for that chair. And then I want a 2-inch clearance at the top. So I'm accounting for that in all of my measurements. So I just need to cut 16 bars. Okay, all right. Well, this Evolution metal saw made some quick work out of this rebar here. So it's a great saw. All right, now that we got everything cut, it's time to assemble all of our rebar cages. My welder is here. Yeah, fire it up. First thing we gotta do is weld all of the rings together. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clamp them to the table here. So I can clamp the gap closed like so. There you go. Ready to weld it? Got 16 of them to do. Looks great. So if you don't have a welder in the family or not a welder yourself, you can make these a little bit longer and overlap the rebar and use one of these rebar ties. You wrap it around and a little spinny tool to spin it and twist it on so you can tie them all together rather than welding if you don't have a welder. So we're going to show you that a little bit on the construction of the cages. Okay, you can see here I've suspended these rings on just a scrap piece of rebar here. And this is one of my verticals on the bottom of the ring here. And if you don't have a welder or know somebody that welds, you can use these rebar ties to wrap around your rebar here. And around like so. And then using a rebar tie tool like this that spins it tight. Easier said than done. I'm glad I've got a welder, because this might take a long time to get all these done this way. Makayla, you want to try this? My welder's sitting over there waiting for me to show you the manual way. Okay. Yeah. So there's one done. And I'll let Makayla do this one. All right, Miss Welder. Show me how it's done. There, and then go around this. So, here. Yep, bring that over. and connect it like that. Yep. And then stick it through there. It's a little awkward, isn't it? I think the ties might be a little too short for this job.
Yeah. I think if they're longer, it could be done without too much frustration.
Yeah. But we got a welder sitting over there, so get welding. Basically, I just need you to move that over to so it's right on the top.
Okay.
Tack that last one, and then these, two in the middle need to be evenly spaced. Okay, so then we'll just tack it. We'll do the bottom run first, and then we'll flip it and do the other side.
Okay.
And keep rotating, and
Okay.
so we get 4 of them.
All right.
All right. Just tack the other side for me. You're there.
I can't see the other side.
Good. Beautiful. That's all you need. See? That'll work.
So you want me to do both sides?
Why not? Well, it's twice the work. You get paid a lot for this. You get to ride in an arena for free. All right, now basically take that, spin it around. So that piece of rebar is on the top. Can you go closer? Yeah, there you go. Let me go get the other piece. There you go. And then slide that in, hang from the bottom. Just go weld it all the way back. Either way.
Easy peasy.
Yep. Okay, now we got to spin it a quarter turn. So go back that way. Yep. Like so. And then we'll get another one and hang it from the bottom there. All right, looks good. You're gonna pull that out of there for me. Look at that, that's looking good. Not bad for your first time. Before I put the rebar cage down into the hole here, I'm gonna put in the bottom a little bit of this gravel here to level that in the bottom, so when I set my little rebar chairs down, it's gonna be on a flat level surface or somewhat level surface. And then I'll also use the fines around the edges here to kind of fill in any voids. Now this is in there pretty tight, but these fines will get down into the sides here and pack in and hold that real nice and tight. All right, here we have all of our rebar cages, the 4 of them. So Next, I got to put the rebar chairs on here. That's what they look like. There's all different kinds. So it just sits on the ground like that, and the chair just clips in. The rebar goes right through that hole right there. Let's pound 4 of them on. Just like that. Take it over the hole. And just set it right down in the hole like that. Just like that. That looks great. This is the 10 inch by 10 inch by ½ inch base plate of the poles, the light poles that we're gonna weld onto those poles. And I need to make 4 replicas out of wood of this base plate here, so that I can use that wood template to help align these enormous 20-inch J-bolts or anchors. They're going to set down in the concrete, but I need to make sure that all 4 of those bolts are lined up perfectly so that when I set the pole down onto that concrete over the J-bolt, that it will go on perfectly, right? Because if this bolt was just slightly off, just a little bit, it'll make it a lot more difficult to lower this plate on to that concrete pier. All right, well, I'm in somewhat of a unique position because my base plates here for the poles aren't welded on yet. So I can actually use these for a system I want to build to assemble this together so that I make sure all of my anchor bolts are perfectly perpendicular, right? So having the 2 pieces together like so, make sure, and this is all bolted together, to make sure that my anchors are completely vertical and plumb. So if you don't have the same situation I do where I haven't welded these on yet, you can just cut 2 of these templates, right? And having 2 helps keep everything perfectly plumb. Now it's not gonna be perfect, but it's close enough to perfect. All right, I got them all done. So I think this is gonna work out great. Now, obviously some of these might be a little off, you know, they might have turned a little bit, you know, so when I go to actually mount these into the concrete itself, I will readjust everything, make sure everything's perfectly plumb, perfectly level, and it's all gonna work out just great. Before I pour the concrete into the tubes here, I need to set all of my electrical conduit because I'm going to be running my wire underground here in this pier and up through the center of that pole. So I've got to set all that conduit first. So I dug a little trench on both sides because I need 2 wires. I got one coming from the source this way, going to come in and up, and then it's going to go up and then back down, back through another elbow here and out the other direction to head on over to that light pole over there. So I need to drill a 1 3/8 inch hole in the side here. I'm just using a Forstner bit. That's the size of the outer diameter of this underground conduit. Okay. Now just kind of push it to the back. Just put it all the way in, and then just lean it to the back there. We'll pour the concrete and we'll straighten it out. All right, so I'm using this system to elevate the mixer so I can actually just mix and pour it right in without having to pour it into a wheelbarrow, wheel it over, and use a shovel and hand shovel everything. And I've got 12 bags, I think I'm gonna have to use 12 80-pound bags, and I can maybe do 2 at a time in this thing. So it's gonna be a lot of work. So the easier I can make it for myself, the better. Oh yeah. All right, ready to get to work? All right, go grab one of those 80-pound bags, throw it up on top here. We'll cut it open and dump it in.
I could try. I don't know if I want you to film it though.
Can you get it? Use your legs. Use your legs. Ooh, look at you. Just set it across the top there. Yeah, you got it. Good.
Good enough?
Yeah, and then we'll use this to kind of just, and hold on, before you do that, let me add some water. All right, I'm just gonna wet this, okay? Add some water on the bottom. Okay, go ahead. Yep. Okay, got it. Oh. You thought I made a mess.
Well,
You almost had it, so close. At least it didn't waste too much because it still stayed in the bag there. What we got? Oh yeah, look at that, almost done. Maybe another bag. We'll do one more bag and see where it's at. You can overflow it just a little bit, yeah. Okay, that's good, and then we'll use that tool here. Oh, we need to use the rebar to kind of work out the air bubbles and stuff. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think we're ready to put the plates on and the anchor bolts in. Okay, so yep, just set it right over that electrical conduit. Just kind of wiggle it in. Look at that. Oh, I didn't want you to drop it. Okay, we're gonna put these sheets of metal on the sides here just to help suspend it so it doesn't sink into the concrete. Yeah,
No.
go ahead.
Okay.
There you go. Yep, now we're just gonna check everything level and make sure that this is gonna be plumb, all of the bolts. But it looks pretty good. I mean, if all the measurements are right, it should be good. Looks pretty good, huh?
Yeah. Easy work.
Easy work? Man, you lifted one 80-pound bag. So far, I've done 23. That sunset's crazy. Check out that sunset. We're always working at sunset. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. Everything square, like squared up with the fence line,
Yeah.
so the post is gonna, yeah.
Seems to be pretty close.
Okay. See what we get when we work at night? Beautiful sunset.
And extra coldness.
It's not that cold. That's why we're pouring the concrete now, to get ahead of it. We got 2 more days until we get cold, maybe 3 days before the real cold sets in, below freezing. So we got to get these concrete piers set before the freezing temperatures get here. All right, final anchors set. Alrighty, finally done, all 4 done. All right, I can finally call it a night, clean up and be done. All right, while we wait for that concrete to set up, let's talk about cost. I'm sure you're really curious on how much this cost me. So for 4 concrete piers, 16 inches in diameter, it was about $500. Yeah, not much. You'd be surprised. The way that broke down is about $80 for the rebar and another $80 for those J-bolts. Yeah, those J-bolts are kind of expensive on Amazon. They're $4.50 a piece for the 20-inch and 5/8-inch J-bolts. So that's that. And then we got the concrete forms. Those were $100, $25 a piece. And then the concrete. The concrete was the biggest one at $250 for all of that concrete. So yeah, around $500. That's $510 to be exact, but I rounded a bunch of stuff. So let's call it $500, not much. Now that does not include any of the tools or equipment that I used that I had an initial investment on, such as my tractor, the Evolution metal saw, the welder, and the concrete mixer. So the concrete mixer wasn't actually that much money. I bought it for a different project, and it's already paid itself off. You know, it was only $100 something, $200, something like that. Not a big investment. So if you're interested in any of those things, I'll put links down below in the description so you can see what some of this equipment costs and some of these materials I use cost and where I bought them at. All right, it's time for the big reveal. This concrete set up now for quite a few days, so I can cut the form off of this concrete here and see what we got. There we go. Yeah, nice. All right, that looks great. We'll clean a little bit up around the dirt there. But yeah, that looks fantastic. That worked out really, really well. I like it. Okay, so next I need to remove this contraption here, this template that I've got, because we're gonna actually weld this steel plate to the poles. That is gonna be in the next video. So make sure you look out for that video, all of our welding work. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. So that way you get alerted to when our next video comes out, when we're doing all this welding and then eventually getting these lights up. So yeah, until next time, keep living the dream.